SingleBlackGayDad. Hello, what's up, my people? Welcome to another episode of Single Black Gay Dad. Today we're going to talk about two very exciting days, the egg retrieval and the transfer day. The last ultrasound before the egg retrieval predicted approximately 18 to 20 matured eggs. And based on my egg donor's previous cycle of 27, I was a little disappointed. So the morning of the egg retrieval, I showed up to the clinic around 7 a.m. and I was expected to give my sample within 20 minutes. At that time when I arrived, the egg donor was already in the OR undergoing her egg retrieval. The egg donor's sons were playing in the waiting room, and that was my very first time meeting them. They knew who I was because they had seen my pictures. So I went up to them and introduced myself and just was in awe. And I was like, I was thinking like, these are about to be my future children, siblings, and it was so surreal and just on pins and needles wondering what was happening, how many matured eggs would be found. So then the IVF coordinator came out of the OR and she came and was so dramatic. She was like, Andre, sit down. I was like, okay, so I was thinking the absolute worst at that point. I was like, what kind of bad news is she about to drop on me today when I'm feeling all positive, all the positive affirmations, everything. She sat me down. She's like, Andre, we got 30 eggs. I was like, 30 eggs. I was like, what? So she's like, do you want me to have them all inseminated? I was like, hell yeah. I was like, what kind of question is that? Like, I don't know what my fertility situation is. I don't know if my sperm will fertilize the eggs. I have no clue. I never tried to get anyone pregnant before. 30 eggs, amazing. Like, try to fertilize them all and we'll see what happens because we don't know until we try. The next morning I called the clinic and I was like, okay, how many eggs were successfully fertilized? And of the 30, 20 eggs were successfully fertilized. So I was like, wow, you got that good Jamaican sperm. So I was like, wow, like of the 30, 20 being successfully fertilized, that's a really good amount of eggs to have. So yeah, at that point, you have to wait 5 days or so to see what embryos survive and turn into blastocysts, which can be successfully transplanted into your surrogate or your wife if that's your partner or whatnot. So the next 5 days are very nerve-wracking because you're like, of all the eggs that have been successfully fertilized, which ones are gonna make it and which ones aren't? And I was on pins and needles and I was like, I can't wait till day 5 to see what we're left with. At that point, you can start planning for your transfer. So at that point, you will fly your surrogate. She's out of town. My surrogate was on the other side of the country in Edmonton, so I had to arrange for transportation and to fly her into the hotel. The round trip plane tickets and hotel for a day's stay, 1 day stay, cost approximately $1,000. Travel within Canada is not cheap. The day before the transfer, I picked up the surrogate from the airport and I brought her to her hotel. Also, we had agreed in our contracts that we would do a double embryo transfer. So 2 embryos would be transferred into the surrogate. Aside from that, your clinic also has to be on board with that if you want to do more than 1 embryo, because most doctors nowadays only do 1 embryo transfers because of safety reasons, because of the potential risks that come along with multiple pregnancies. So yeah, my doctor was on board, luckily and thankfully, and I wanted to make sure that there was gonna be no issues the day of the transfer. So I called the day before to make sure, like, is the lab aware that you guys are getting not 1 but 2 embryos ready for transfer, because I didn't want to show up to the OR the next day and they have only 1 embryo ready to transfer. I need to know that everything is on the up and up and where it's supposed to be. So when we arrived the morning of, we got our scrubs on and we were talking to the IVF coordinator, and she had the computer in front of her. And I called the lab that morning to find out how many embryos survived, because I didn't want to wait till I got to the clinic to find out that they had like 1 left. Of the 20 that were successfully fertilized, 13 embryos made it to day 5, which is phenomenal. So she's looking through the computer and it shows the quality of each of the 13 embryos. Of the 13, 10 of them were perfect quality, 4AA quality, which is the best possible 5-day blastocyst that you could possibly get. And the other remaining 3 were good quality, which could still result in healthy live births. So I was amazed that, you know, hey, my sperm is able to fertilize 13 eggs successfully. There's 13 babies that could potentially be born, and the, I guess, best 2 or the luck of the draw are being transferred into the surrogate. So in the OR, I was beside the surrogate while she was on the stirrups, and the IVF doctor, he went to the lab. The lab technician came in with, I don't even know what it's called, but she came in with the 2 embryos in a syringe or something of that nature. I don't know what it's called, but she came in with that, and I was a little disappointed because some parents are able to get pictures of the embryos that are getting implanted, and I asked for that ahead of time, but somehow the messages were crossed and the lab wasn't aware that we wanted a picture taken. So I was like, with my dramatic self, I was like, that's a bad sign that they don't even know and there's no pictures. Like, it's not good. I want to have pictures of the embryos. So the doctor felt bad. So he did an ultrasound of the surrogate, and he told her to drink a certain amount of water. And for whatever reason, she wasn't able to get the water intake that he needed within the time, or I think she was drinking apple juice. So he was like, he was trying to find her uterus on the ultrasound and he couldn't find it. And he's like, did you drink how many liters of water that they told her to drink? And she said she drank apple juice, and he's like, apple juice is sugar. And he's like, I can't see the uterus. I was like, I felt like someone punched me in my stomach, because I was like, he's putting in the embryos and he can't see her uterus. This is not gonna work. That was the first thing that went through my mind. I was like, this is a bust. And I left there feeling a sliver of hope, but I was still already defeated. And in my mind, I was like, okay, this didn't work. There's no way that it could work if he put in the embryos and he can't see her uterus. And he took a picture of the 2 embryos that he put in, and it looks like 2 black holes. Like, it looks like 2, like, it's hard, you could hardly tell that it's anything, but he zoomed into it to show that they were put in. So there was 2 of them, and he sent me, he printed me a copy of the picture, and I kept that. The key to successful implantation of an embryo is to get the blood flowing to your uterus. And the best way to do that is to be active. Go on walks, do whatever you need to do. Because think about it, a natural pregnancy that you're not planning to get pregnant, you had intercourse, and you're not stopping your life and sitting with your legs up. No, you're going about your day, you're living your life, you're going to work, you're going out, and you're not stopping. And all that stuff is helping the embryo implant to your uterus. I don't know why, with the doctor saying that, it made me feel like the procedure didn't work. But in my mind, I just felt so disappointed because he didn't feel confident, because weeks earlier, he's like, if I put 2 in, there's gonna be twins. So he was so confident then to, I can't see your uterus and I'm just throwing a shot. It just sounded like he was like, I'm throwing a shot in the dark and I don't know what's gonna happen. And for me, I took it as, this didn't work. Set your expectations real low. You guys are gonna have to do this again. And it made me sad, because I was like, I want this to work. And then seeing how things turned out, it makes me sad that I was thinking negative or already preparing myself for disappointment and not giving my children a chance to do what they did and performed amazingly like they did and implanted the way they did. But when you hear something like that during your transfer procedure, like, hey, I can't see where I'm putting the embryos, that's not something you want to hear. Like, so for me, I was like, this ain't a good sign. This ain't good. So I'm definitely gonna discuss the 2-week wait in the next video. And I want to thank you guys for tuning into another video of mine. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Please like the video, please share if you care, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click that bell for the notifications on the latest video.